Good evening. I'm John Batchelor. This is the John Batchelor Show. The Affordable Care Act on everyone's mind, but meantime, here comes lackluster jobs report for September, delayed by the government shutdown and the BLS issuing numbers in these last hours. Disappointing is a diplomatic word. The question here is, why the slowness? Why the sluggishness? Why the disappointment? Well, we'll begin with the numbers. I don't pay attention to the unemployment rate because that now factors in this strange hybrid called the participation rate in the jobs market. If we were participating at the same rate at the start of the Great Recession, this jobless number would be at 11.2%. So I throw that out and I concentrate on the numbers of jobs added in the month of September. 126,000 private jobs and 22,000 government jobs. That's federal, state, and local government. Jim McTague of Barron's joins me to explain what we can of this disappointing number in the long recovery from the Great Recession. Jim, a very good evening to you. These numbers, are these shutdown numbers or are these prior to the shutdown? Good evening.
Good evening, John. These are prior to the shutdown, well in advance of the shutdown. That's what's disturbing. It showed that the economy already was moving momentum, and the shutdown will have a negative impact on growth. So that next time, when the jobless numbers come out again next month, they'll probably be worse than they were today.
The expectation of the market was 188,000, and it comes in at 148. But, Jim, I see these numbers continue the question of where the jobs are. So many of these jobs look to be low-paying jobs or part-time jobs. Have we lost the ability to generate good, high-paying jobs that are career path?
Well, it depends on what state you are living in, because yesterday, the government released August data for metropolitan areas. And if you live in Dallas, Fort Worth, or Houston, if you live in Oklahoma City or Silicon Valley, or even the states of Minneapolis and Iowa, where you have strong agricultural, the unemployment rates are very, very low. But if you live in Yuma, Arizona, for example, the unemployment rate there is over 30%. So, you can see this pattern across the U.S. There are certain locales that have adapted to the biotech, high-tech revolution or the energy revolution, and they're doing well. One of the reasons that more states aren't doing well, of course, is that the administration hasn't gotten full bore behind the energy revolution. They could create a lot more jobs if they did, but it's green energy politics preventing people from getting jobs in the oil and gas industries.
Manufacturing, in the most recent jobs report, 2,000, Jim. I recall a year ago, the Obama administration looking to create do I remember this correctly, 1 million new manufacturing jobs? And we've been going backwards for some time with manufacturing. Now we're plus 2,000. I thought the happy story was that manufacturing is coming home. You just named two parts of the country having nothing to do with manufacturing. That's the Bakken, the Marcellus Shale, and if you want to get rich, marry a farmer. That's what you've just talked about. Nothing to do with manufacturing.
No, because unemployment is very high in Detroit and Gary, Indiana, the heart of what used to be our auto industry. The reason that manufacturing isn't coming back is because the White House and Congress have not yet got down to serious corporate tax reform. It's still less expensive for corporations to make things overseas. The president has to focus on growing this economy. He just hasn't. There's something in his DNA that doesn't want to deal with economics.
Regulatory capture, I guess, is a new mutation of the DNA. Jim, because this came before the government shutdown, and because we're now post-shutdown and into the Affordable Care Act, is there any explanation for this sluggishness? I recall everybody saying we're on the path to recovery, and then bang, we get a disappointing September job. Not dire, but not robust. Is this Dodd-Frank? Is this the Affordable Care Act? Is this regulation?
Well, it's all of the above plus weak corporate earnings. But we have so much red tape in this country, you don't have a lot of new startups, number one. Number two, you don't have a lot of hiring because you don't have a lot of demand. Congress could help alleviate that again if the Republicans and Democrats could get together and agree on a serious infrastructure rebuilding program, not the kind of pork barrel politics we had during the president's first term. We would get some job growth, and that would help stimulate demand. But you have to have tax reform in there too. And again, both parties, I wish they could bury the hatchet and concentrate on growing our economy. We just don't see that happening.
Well, come on now, Jim. It's the 21st century. We don't bury hatchets unless it's in the skull of our opponents. But back to the Affordable Care Act. We do not know very much about the road ahead for the Affordable Care Act. It's in trouble. And I could make some flimsy remarks about creating jobs for code writers here. But for a long time, the speculation was, the sluggishness was because businesses could not see ahead for what it would cost to hire people because of the mandates of the Affordable Care Act. Is there any clarity now that we're into it? The website doesn't work much. The back end is a mystery. There are emergency meetings at the White House. We're told that health insurance providers are beckoned to the White House to meet. Does that clear up the anxiety that big business has had these last years?
No, it's not just big business. I talked to a restaurant owner this weekend that had to get insurance, private insurance in Pennsylvania for his employees, and the costs are way up. And he doesn't know what's going to happen next year with the Affordable Care Act, because when you had this technological boondoggle, put yourself in the place of a shopper. I've just had this experience where I ordered a major appliance online, and the order was completely screwed up, and I'll never use that website again. If you're a young tech-savvy person like our sons and daughters who rely on technology and are used to good technology, if you go to the government health site and you get jammed up and put in a queue for hours and hours, you're never going to go back there again. If those young people don't sign up for insurance, the costs of the premiums are going to soar because there won't be enough people in the rate-paying base to keep the cost down. So, when the Florida senator says that this system is going to collapse under its own weight, Obamacare, he is not exaggerating.
That's called the death spiral. Silver lining. It's my mother's voice. I'm looking for something positive here, Jim. The FOMC, now this taper talk goes away completely. Can we wipe out this taper talk for 2014, this weak jobs number?
Well, the taper talk goes away, but at the same time, we have a big stock market bubble and possibly a real estate bubble in some parts of the country because of the Fed's policy, which is essentially printing monopoly money.
Right.
It keeps interest rates low. It's also keeping a lot of businesses afloat that if rates were at their normal levels, these businesses would not be able to survive. There is no silver lining.
All right, wait. Janet Yellen, she arrives January of 2014, chair of the Federal Reserve. Her first move is taper? Is that it? January?
Her first move is to hold a press conference and say, "Oh my God, look what Ben Bernanke has done to me."
That's it. I like that. Jim McTague, the Washington editor of Barron's, the jobs report, being diplomatic, lackluster. That's not good for any of us. It's certainly not good for figuring out the future for the young people who we depend upon to buy insurance from the Affordable Care Act so that those of us who are elderly or are afflicted in some fashion can balance out in our pools state by state. Those people, those young people, not much about jobs. I'm John Batchelor.